In this lesson, we're going to take a look at removing a database availability group. Now, you don't need to do this lesson immediately if you don't want to, but this lesson would be useful if you've completed building your database availability group, you've done some training and some testing with various DAG scenarios, and you've decided that you'd like to remove one of the servers from your test lab environment to free up some hard drive space on your virtual host or free up some CPU and memory so that your other virtual machines run a little bit smoother. So of course we can't just shut down the server and switch it off and leave it at that. We do need to actually uninstall Exchange from the server correctly. So let's take a look at what would happen if we went in and tried to uninstall Exchange right now. So this is my second DAG member, EBCEX2. Here you can see Exchange Server 2013, and we'll just try and uninstall that. As you can see, a prerequisite check is performed. And we're informed by that prerequisite analysis that the computer is a member of a database availability group and it must be removed from the DAG before you can uninstall Exchange. And we also have the issue highlighted here that at least one of the databases that is active on this server has multiple copies on other servers, so it cannot be removed. And also that there are messages waiting in these transport queues. We just need to understand that those transport queues, those messages would be lost if Exchange was uninstalled. So obviously we can't continue with setup at this point. And what we need to do is remove the server from the DAG. Let's jump into our Exchange Admin Center. So go to the servers section, database availability groups. So there is the DAG that was deployed, and we know that we can manage DAG membership. We went through this when we were adding DAG members. We can also use this same dialog to remove DAG members. So if we chose EBCEX2 and tried to remove it and then save that change, and again, we're informed that the server cannot be removed because of active database copies or databases with multiple copies. So in effect, what we need to do is remove database copies from this server and then remove it from the DAG, and then we'll be able to uninstall Exchange. Now obviously, if we want to remove database copies from this server, we should fail over any active databases to the other DAG member first. Now currently all of the databases, I should say, are active on EBCEX2. Now we could switch them over one at a time using the Exchange Admin Center here. Instead, what I'm going to do is jump into PowerShell. So I'll launch my Exchange Management shell. And if I run the command move active mailbox databases with the server parameter, let's say EBCEX2. Now what that will do in effect is move any active database copies from EBCEX2 to another DAG member. We can see in the output here, the active server at the start was EBCEX2, and then for each database, the active server at the end is EBCEX1. And those switchovers were successful. So with just that one single PowerShell command, we've moved all the active database copies off the server, and all we're left with now is passive database copies on the server. And refreshing the view here in the Exchange Admin Center shows us the same thing. So let's remove those copies from EBCEX2. And notice that that process leaves the actual database files behind. That's fine since we're planning to just shut down or decommission the server anyway. So just repeat that process for the other two databases. And again for the final database, just removing the copy from EBC EX2. Now that we've completed those steps, we'll go back to the database availability groups view. And let's try to manage DAG membership again and remove EBC EX2 from the DAG. Save that. And this time that DAG member removal was successful. So let's close any of these various admin tools, particularly the Exchange Management Shell. And try to uninstall Exchange again. So just wait for that prerequisites analysis to finish a second time. So we do get warned about some messages in the one of the shadow transport queues. It's not a concern for us in this test lab scenario. We can proceed with the uninstall now. There's no other errors that are preventing uninstallation from continuing, so just click on uninstall. And similar to when set up, when the server was first installed, you can see there's quite a lengthy process that it needs to go to remove Exchange Server 2013 from the computer as well. So just be patient, let that run to its full completion. So setup has completed, and we get a warning that a reboot is required to complete some file system operations. So you can do that reboot if you like, or we can do what I'm going to do and just shut the server down and power it off. Now there are also a couple of other tidy up tasks that you can do if you've chosen to decommission one of your DAG members. I've logged on to my domain controller server for this because what I want to do is launch the DNS Management tool. And remember that because the server was installed as a multi-role server, so it was both a client access and a mailbox server, and we had DNS round robin configured, that we should also remove the DNS record that was used for client access namespaces. So 192.168.0.33 was my IP address for EBC EX2. So I want to remove the mail record, mail being my client access namespace. I just want to delete that extra one so that clients aren't trying to connect to it still as a client access server. In addition to that, we can actually remove the DAG itself. Now, even though we've got one mailbox server remaining, there's really not really, well, there's no real reason to leave it still running as a single member database availability group. So log into your Exchange Admin Center. Go to the Servers Database Availability Group section. And what you can do now is remove that one remaining member. And then now that the DAG has no members, can simply delete it. Now that is not harmful to the mailbox databases themselves or the remaining mailbox server. Okay, that server can still function just fine as a standalone mailbox server, or in this case it's installed as both mailbox and client access server. So you can remove the DAG if you like, or leave the DAG in place. Perhaps you were choosing to remove one of your DAG members and planning to later add it back in. It was just a temporary removal. In that case, it's a little easier just to keep the DAG around. But if you have no more plans to play around or do any more testing with the DAG itself, then feel free to go ahead and just remove it and leave yourself with one Exchange server running.